Chapter 9 Respiration in Organisms.
Introduction. Our body is the best possible machine. It does not waste any energy. There are many processes in our body which start with birth and end with death. Respiration is one of them. We respire to use up the food to get energy from it. A human being cannot survive for more than few minutes without breathing. The biological process in which food is utilized to produce energy is called respiration. Respiration is necessary for the survival of all living beings.
Why do we respire? Respiration takes place in our body continuously to break the food and derive energy from it. During respiration, it is mainly the carbohydrates which are oxidized to produce energy. This can be shown by following equation. Carbohydrate plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Respiration takes place inside the cells. A respiration occurs inside the cell. It is also called cellular respiration. A cell organelle called mitochondria is a site of cellular respiration. There are different types of respiration depending upon the availability of oxygen. Aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Carbon dioxide and water are the end products. Most of the organisms respire aerobically. Glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. It usually happens in microbes. Alcohol and carbon dioxide are the end products. In some cases, lactic acid is formed at the end of anaerobic respiration. Glucose, in absence of oxygen, gives alcohol plus carbon dioxide plus energy. Anaerobic respiration also happens in our muscle cells. When someone runs or walks too fast, one may feel a throbbing pain in the calf muscles. This happens because of deposition of chemical compound called lactic acid produced by anaerobic respiration. Once the person takes rest for some time, the pain goes away as the supply of oxygen increases, which results in complete breakdown of lactic acid into carbon dioxide and water. Glucose, in absence of oxygen, gives lactic acid plus energy. Breathing. As read above, oxygen is necessary for aerobic respiration. We get this oxygen from the air by the process of breathing. The process of taking in and giving out air for respiration is known as breathing. Breathing involves two main steps, namely inhalation and exhalation. During inhalation, we breathe in air, which is rich in oxygen. During exhalation, we breathe out air, which is rich in carbon dioxide. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is known as the breathing rate. Breathing is a continuous process which goes on all the time and throughout the life of living organisms. How do we breathe? When we are doing normal activities, the rate of breathing is normal. The rate of breathing increases when we do strenuous physical work, such as running, swimming, jogging, etc. On the other hand, the rate of breathing decreases when we take rest or when we are sleeping. On average, an adult human being at rest breathes in and out 15 to 18 times in a minute. During heavy exercise, the breathing rate can increase up to 25 times per minute. While we exercise, not only do we breathe fast, we also take deep breaths and thus inhale more oxygen. When we inhale, the dust particles from air get trapped in the hair present in our nasal cavity. However, sometimes these particles may get past the nasal cavity and irritate the lining of the cavity, as a result of which we sneeze. Sneezing expels these foreign particles from the inhaled air and a dust-free, clean air enters our body. The process of breathing is controlled by the movement of diaphragm. Diaphragm is a membrane present between the chest and abdomen. The movement of diaphragm is controlled by a group of muscles known as intercostal muscles. When the diaphragm moves down, the rib cage expands. This leads to the expansion inside the lungs. As a result, the air moves into the lungs. This process is known as inspiration or inhalation. Breathing in. When the diaphragm moves up, the rib cage contracts. This leads to contraction of the lungs. As a result, the air moves out of the lungs. This process is known as expiration or exhalation. Breathing out. What do we breathe out? As discussed earlier, the inhaled air is rich in oxygen. This oxygen is taken to the cells through blood where it is used up in respiration. One of the products of respiration is carbon dioxide, which needs to be thrown out of the body. This carbon dioxide travels back to the lungs through blood and is exhaled out. Breathing in other animals. Flatworms use their outer surfaces as gas exchange surfaces. Earthworms have a series of thin-walled blood vessels known as capillaries. Gas exchange occurs at capillaries located throughout the body as well as those in the respiratory surface. Unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium exchange gases through their cell membranes. Some animals, amphibians, use their skin as a respiratory surface. Frogs expel carbon dioxide 2.5 times faster through their skin than through their lungs. Eels, a fish, obtain 60% of their oxygen through their skin. Humans exchange only 1% of their carbon dioxide through their skin. Constraints of water loss dictate that terrestrial animals must develop more efficient lungs. Many terrestrial animals have their respiratory surfaces inside the body and connected to the outside by a series of tubes. These tubes that carry air directly to cells for gas exchange are known as tracheae. Spiracles are openings of the body surface that lead to tracheae. Tracheae branch into smaller tubes known as tracheoles.
Body movements or contractions speed up the rate of diffusion of gases from tracheae into body cells.
However, tracheae does not function well in animals whose body is longer than 5 cm. Lungs are ingrowth of the body wall and connect to the outside by a series of tubes and small openings. Lung breathing probably evolved about 400 million years ago.
Respiratory system principle. The whole process of respiration is comprised of the following steps. Movement of an oxygen-containing medium so it contacts a moist membrane overlying blood vessels. Diffusion of oxygen from the medium into the blood. Transport of oxygen to the tissues and cells of the body through blood. Diffusion of oxygen from the blood into cells. Carbon dioxide follows a reverse path and moves out of the body.
Breathing underwater. Fish have a pair of gills. They breathe oxygen dissolved in water through gills. Gills greatly increase the surface area for gas exchange. Gills are complex outgrowth containing blood vessels. Typically, gills are organized into a series of plates and may be internal, as in crabs and fish, or external to the body, as in some amphibians. These organisms take in water which flows over gills. The blood in capillaries of gills absorbs oxygen and gives carbon dioxide. Do plants also respire? Plants can be of various sizes and shapes. Similar to other living organisms, plants also respire for their survival. Developing respiratory organs could not be a fruitful solution for plants because of their unlimited growth. Each plant part breathes through its external layer of cells. Roots breathe through root hairs, stems breathe through epidermis, leaves have numerous small pores called stomata for breathing. Plants also take in oxygen from the air and give out carbon dioxide. In the cells, oxygen is used to break down glucose into carbon dioxide and water.